Morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Workday Morning Show. I am your host, Tony Gilfillan. It is December 8th. It is a lovely Monday morning, and we are going to jump into it. All right, let me share my screen here. So, a couple things I find interesting this month is some pretty great television coming out. Fallout, if you're familiar with the Fallout series based on the video game series, is coming out with season 2 December 17th on Prime Video. Excited to see that one. And then also Stranger Things, the second volume of the final season is coming out on Christmas. Christmas Day is going to be releasing those next 3 episodes. And then the finale is going to be on New Year's Eve. Super exciting. I am pumped to watch those over the break. All right. So, where we left off last time with our little app we've been building here, we've been building a Slack bot that can respond to @mentions in our channel here. So, if we @mention our bot, Slack test bot, and ask it any question, it is going to essentially query Claude and let Claude give us a response in red. So, we can just ask, when is the next Fallout series? And then this will hit our Slack bot, and then our Slack bot, well, not our Slack bot, it's going to hit the listener on our Node.js app that we built, and then that listener is going to hit our agent, and our agent is then going to send a response back from Claude itself. This is, again, is going to take a minute to spin up because it is on a free instance, but thankfully there is some retry values built in there, so it will respond when that app spins up in about 20 to 40 seconds here. And then it'll respond back to our Claude question. So if we take a quick look, good time to recap here what we've built so far and what we're going to build today. So we have our Slack bot. We just sent our message in. That is going to be responded by our application that we built here on Node.js using the Bolt framework that accesses Slack APIs. And then that is going to call our Flowise agent that is going to call Claude to do whichever question we asked it to do. And then we're also going to add a Workday piece of that today. But right now, all it's doing is calling a Claude API to then return a response back to our Slack instance. Next, what we're going to do is create a Workday instance, or not a Workday instance, a Workday application that will return some sort of data for us, and will give our agent the ability to use that API to do some meaningful manipulation with it. Should be able to get data from Workday and then do something meaningful with it using Claude, and then send it back to us. So to get started today, we are going to hop over to Workday. We're going to fire up an application. Go ahead and start from scratch. We'll call this, what do we do with our app? We could get started with, just pulling any values from any of the Workday web services and pull that into our agent. But I would like to create a business object that can do something a little bit more meaningful. A few weeks ago, we created a stock application. We could actually leverage that, get that into our Slack. But what we did with this one was we created a home card that on a regular basis updates stock ticker information in a business object, and then we could return that here, or we could just return from the API itself that we also created. The first thing we want to do is in our little drawing here, we want to basically give our agent some more superpowers here. So we want to add additional tools to our MCP server so that our Flowise agent can essentially do more things. We want to give it more APIs to be able to action. We want it to be able to pull from Workday objects. We want it to be able to push data as well at one. So we will get to that moment. What I'm going to do now is put my cursor that we used. You were watching the live stream several weeks ago. We used Flowise to build us an MCP server, and we also used it to build a local Flowise instance. So we're going to utilize that to basically create a more robust agent for us to access Workday data, to relation with it, and to put this all into an MCP server versus hard coding all of that into. I'm using Cursor to, for one, just check for the latest update, because there are updates occasionally to this Flowise software. This is going to be the open source version that's available out there still on GitHub. You can use the one that is either the open source version, but what we've been using recently is the cloud version, flowiseai.com, and we built our Slack agent there that we were using last week. But I do want to steal. We can either go one of two ways here. Is I want to reuse what I've already built for authenticating with Workday. Like it took down my local instance while installing. So I want to basically reuse what I've already built for for my Flowise agent. So what we did several weeks ago with the Flowise agent was just building a very simple authentication to Workday to pull some data from, I believe it was just the workers API that returns just some generic data from Logan. But I can use that same authentication process to get data back from our business objects or really any other API. And I want to reuse that so I don't scratch again. But I'm waiting for Cursor to start my instance. Currently updating. Let's go ahead, spin up a new app, create some generic data, be able to pull that into Slack, and then also do the converse, pushing the data back into Workday using our agent. Create end app, just front end. Start from scratch. We'll just call this Flowise agent demo. Created our Flowise. I'm going to start server as well. Yep. What's trying to do here is run that npm start. Have our Workday bot or a Workday app that we will create some components for. We're just about to have Flowise up and running. And let's go ahead and create object. For this, we're just going to call this a test object. when we get this all connected up. We'll just get a couple fields, a name, automatically delete field name. A contact form. All right. We have a couple fields in our business object. We need to create a security domain so we can secure it. Security domain. Security, not for page security. Subject. Grid. Domain. Now we have a business object. Deploy this to our tenant so then we can use the REST API in our agent. Our server's up and running. Flowise. When you create a local Flowise instance, it'll actually prompt you to create an admin password, so you can kind of set that whenever you do up initially. If you're logging into the web version, you can log in using SSO, or you can also create your own account that will then be tied to whatever email you use to create that with. Right, so what I need here, I'm going to steal the Slack agent we built, and I'm just going to move this to our local instance. So when you navigate into one of these agents, up here at the top here is your little settings button. Here you can basically import or export agents. I'm going to export this current one, and then I'm going to put it into my local version. Comes out as a JSON. Here, my agent flows, import that JSON. Just pop right in. To refresh here. Let's try the other way around. We do my authentication agent flow. We're going to see it the other way as well. This, I'm just testing exporting and importing from a local instance to the web version of Flowise. Try and import the other one. Sure. Both claim to have finished, but neither of them actually put another agent for me. So I'm just basically trying to create a new agent for myself, or not an agent for myself. I'm creating an extend app to play with my agent, and then I'm also moving my authentication flow from a local instance to my web version of Flowise. Import doesn't seem to be working very well. Isn't it? Updated minor version. So new, can you over here? So it looks like it works a lot better if you just try to import into an actual agent versus screen. Save this first, their local instance. And playing in the web version, but I was just wanting to know if I was still able to do this locally. What time is it? My API key not correct in my local instance. Right, so I already have credentials already baked into my web version, so let's create my authentication version in the web version versus the other direction. All right. This probably isn't going to be the breaking point though. So I have my local MCP server and I have my web version. If you try to call a local host on a web version, it's going to try hitting the local host of wherever that web version is being hosted, not your local machines. This URL is not going to be correct. Let's see if I can't try and get the drop it key fix. That's going to be an easier route as far as an MCP server goes, because essentially I'll have to recreate my MCP server hosted somewhere, and it is not currently being hosted anywhere besides my local. So for testing purposes, I'm going to try to get this localhost version up and running, and I'm missing my Tropic API key on this version. That real. My other question is, hey, it did come back. Oh. So tried to web search for me. So when I sent my message to Slackbot, when is the next episode of Fallout airing, it did a web search for this because it can do that automatically. Look at this. Look at our Slack agent that we built last week. You will see there's tools, there's pre-baked tools that you can use within the agents that you can just throw into any of the agents regardless of what LLM you're using, and it can web search off of the. So if you open your agent, really any agent step, have your model and your parameters, but you also have these Anthropic built-in tools. These are basically tools that the Anthropic agents can automatically use without you having to rebake anything into an MCP server. And then down here is tools. This is the actual tools, external tools that you can use from an MCP server that you build locally, or there's a bunch of other connectors in here that you're able to basically teach your agent how to do different things. but it looks like I am not handling the web search response very well because when it's hitting a tool, it is sending back a much different response than just querying. So complete this web search. See what that returns. Because we're handling all the special characters just fine. It's coming through here, but it's giving me the whole kit and caboodle from responses because it did like several different web searches and it's returning all of them. Yeah, it's returning like articles on the Fallout series and all kinds of other things for me, which is handy, but I'm not gracefully handling the response here. So if I remove the web search tool, um, it's probably just going to hit the Claude Sonnet model directly and see if it has any context there instead of attempting to do a web search for me. Let's try that. I could do this also through the Slack, in my Slack channel as well. But I just want to see it happen directly Flowise so I can audit it a little bit better because it gives me that nice little debugger message and it goes through the process flow. But this is the flow it does hit every time my Slack at mention happens. It just a couple more jumps before it hits here. Responded. Yeah, so without a web search, here's the response it gives you. Basically, it doesn't have the ability to get live information that it doesn't already have context to. So if it wasn't already trained on that data, it's not going to know the answer. So it's going to have to do something else to find the answer. And that's where that web search comes in. But we'll have to fix how it's handling that web search on our bot. Otherwise, it's just going to come back in this big old long JSON format again. Sends all kinds of stuff. Did it did several web searches. It searched for the Wikipedia. It searched for release dates. So it's very powerful, but obviously you have to handle, the array of responses when it does do that web. Cool. So let's go back to our agent. Have our local agent. Here's our local agent. Need to fix tropic. That's not a big. Essentially, our two versions are mildly mismatched. We just need to fix the credentials on our local agent so we can then use our MCP server that's locally, and then we can essentially get this whole flow working from a local perspective. So what we need to do now is create our credentials on our local instance that we currently have on the external instance. Have this already pre-baked. Let me fix. I don't have to blur this out later on. All right. See if that fixed it. Um, Is the new follow code. Is the an API key by its auto generated from render. Ask the problem or agent spinning on here. Tell me what the connection is. Check our X. Hard color URL. Spinning on the models. Node version out. The nodes. Do this variable. Just recreating this because giving me some warnings on the nodes. Updated version that I did. But up. There, perfect. And variable. That's still more time. Okay. Build it. Just looking for a response here. Basically, all we're really doing today is moving some stuff from one instance of Flowise to another, and then we also spun up a quick extend app with business object and a security domain to then be able to use those APIs in our agent. This agent should be able to connect, but we're having some connection. I'll have to look into why. Stopping out on Claude itself. Strange. But next time we will use the extend app that we built. Where'd it go? Here it is. So we deployed our app. We have a test. We have a test object that we can use that for the API. It's just a very simple. It's got like name, address, phone. I think I stuck in there. That we'll be able to use to put into our Flowise agent to be able to push and pull some data. And we'll do that next time. Thanks, everybody.